We're at Adelasanti and I warmly welcome you to Portals to Place, 3 Papunya Tula Artists. We've got beautiful works by Lorna and Yukultji's work, and we've also got John's work towards the back of the exhibition. And what these 3 artists represent is this long lineage of Papunya Tula, which is one of the most important art centres in the history of Aboriginal art in terms of how it has created the foundations of how an ethical Aboriginal run artist centre and it is run for the artists right through to their elder years. And so it's very special to have these 3 artists who represent 2 generations. We can see the incredible pioneering work of Lorna, who in her elder years has developed a new technique. She's leaning into these gorgeous, vibrant colour palettes to represent this very important and sacred women's site of Marapinti. And then if we move over to Yukultji's work, we can see that long history of dot painting, which Papunya Tula artists are particularly well known for. And in fact, Lorna had also pioneered this technique, which Yukultji has made her own. And what's really exciting about this exhibition is how John is working with both avenues of inquiry to create a new visual language which captures both the vibrancy of Lorna's work as well as the dot painting we're seeing in Yukultji's work, and translating them to a new style that reflects drone imagery, satellite imagery, incredible topographical imagery of country. And so it's really exciting to see these 3 artists who represent Papunya Tula here in London. And that's a really important part of your role in terms of schooling. You've got this role with children, and then you've got this other aspect of your life where you're also a ranger, so you're looking after country.
Now first I went with the plane from Kiwirrkura to Alice, and then we went out camping out to Nidby. To chopper, and I saw down, like after fire, when they made a fire, to go out with the Luritja, the firm, new another plants come out.
Because burning off is a really important part of looking after the land.
When I went out there, and I went up in the hill, looking at long distance. Amazing country, and they know the water still there for them. They pass it on to us, and I was thinking, how far they walk long through the desert, long way.
People who don't know how to navigate the desert, it can be a perilous journey. A lot of people have died over the years because they didn't know how to find water. But what you're talking about is, on your father's country, you and your family, you know where to find water, and this is one of those really important places. Here are these little dots like the seeds.
Yeah.
This has this very beautiful quality to it where, and all of your paintings have this, where the dots, they have this vibrational quality to them, creating a movement so that as we're looking at this work and we know it's of your country, we get the sense of the land, the life that's coming from it. And these seeds are so important because they go into the damper, and then they're what gives life to the desert. It feels like nothing is still. The whole work is vibrating, and it's a really interesting technique because if you're looking at a photograph on the screen, it is not doing the same thing as standing in front of this work, the scale of it and the brightness of these lines of dots. She is painting these lines and they're vibrating both horizontally and vertically at the same time.
She's been a prolific painter for Papunya Tula. She's sort of like the queen of the desert.
Something that's interesting about Papunya Tula It's very different from other artist studios. We're not seeing artists working in isolation necessarily. Like a lot of family and friends might gather there whilst the artist is painting, might be painting together. Like it's
Lots of generations in there, you know, from babies to people in their 70s. It's a lot of knowledge in the room at the one time, which creates lots of amazing energy for the artists and their families.
And you can see a relationship between these two works. You get a sense of how the sand dunes, the tuli, how it shifts. Whereas Lorna's paintings, you get a sense of very specific space, a very specific location. You do see the vibrancy of the land, but here it's like a real appreciation of how the sand dunes shift and their relationship to the wind, the sun. We're looking at Maripinti, and we were talking about how this relates to that long history of women painting, using these colours that have entered her practice in her later years in a very vibrant way. She's really emphasising the extraordinary colour of the desert, and she's extended that to brushwork, which supports her with her Parkinson's, but also allows her to continue working and depicting Maripinti in a very special way. You know, we can hear about Maripinti, we know that it's a really important women's site, but maybe we're not able to know the deeper wisdom that this land holds, and that we'll never know it, but we can still marvel at how extraordinary and beautiful these paintings are. And her love of country, it really comes through in these paintings.
Because a lot of the stories told is like when you're a young man, like the song lines, I would imagine that's it's like a survival story that will come into your head, and you'll start singing that if you get lost and you know where to go to find the water.
So the songs are as much about like the stories of the ancestors as they are about like how do you navigate the land. I think for some people they don't realise that Australia is the driest continent in the world. So it is a vast country, but that the central desert is a huge expanse of it.